Ascension, the deck building game, is over a decade old, and in that time it has gathered critical acclaim and quite the following. It has been supported by numerous expansions, each of which has changed a fundamental aspect of gameplay or added on new layers to the game. But none of those expansions have changed Ascension as much as Ascension Tactics. This game takes a lot of what you know and love from Ascension and adds a new map and tactical element. This game was designed by the same creators as the original Ascension. Today I'm going to give you a first look at Ascension Tactics and talk about how it appeals to fans of Ascension while offering something new for new players as well. Come take a look. Alright, now before we get started, I do want to say that this is paid content. We are doing a first look here to show you guys kind of what Ascension looks like. But that being said, I am a huge fan of the Ascension deck building game. So my passion and love for this game is definitely going to be evident because there is a lot of what I would call fan service or little Easter eggs that are hidden in this game that's really going to reward fans of the Ascension game. However, don't think that you need to have any experience with Ascension to come into this game. It is a completely separate, standalone tactics game. Now I'm going to show you some of the cool things about this game and things that I think you're probably going to want to know. Now the first thing you're going to see on the table that you're going to look at is these miniatures. This is a tactics game. You're going to have miniatures out here on this battlefield. Now, the game can be played in a number of ways. It can be played cooperatively, it can be played PvP, it can be played solo. There are going to be a variety of scenarios included with maybe some more scenarios down the line that are going to determine how you're going to set up this map. You're going to be able to draft these champions. Now you're going to see these miniatures here, and I'm going to put these miniatures up on the screen. I would like to say that the miniatures I have here in front of me are, of course, prototype material. So these are not final components at all. And there's even an example here of one that is painted that I will show you guys in a little bit closer detail. That's just kind of an example of what these minis can look like. Now that being said, these miniatures are going to represent your champions. In this game, you're actually going to have a champion that sits out here on the map. Now what I find really neat is that these champions have all been pulled out of Ascension lore. So these characters have all been cards in other games or other expansions like Prime or Ascara of Fate, who are two of my favorite cards anyway. So if you really have a favorite character, you might get to see them show up as a champion. The rest of the cards are over here kind of in a row, just like the normal deck building game. You're going to also start with a hand of cards, just like in the deck building game. And the actual turn-to-turn gameplay of the game is not too far off from Ascension. So if you already know how to play Ascension, it's not hard to adapt to the rules of these tactics games. So each player is going to choose a team of champions, and you're going to draft these based on the scenario. It's going to tell you specifically how to deal these out, but you're going to take these champions, you're going to place their card in front of you, and you're going to put your miniature out here on the map in a starting location. Now, some of these maps are going to have cultists on the board. You're not fighting cultists abstractly off to the side. You actually have to come onto the board and fight those cultists. In addition, you're going to be able to move around those cultists and take control of them during the game. So let's take a look at some of these champion cards here, and you can see some differences. First of all, champions have an attack value, which is notified by those cross swords. This is a little different than in the base game. This is the damage that this miniature can do. And then over here, you're going to see the armor. Now you will see a symbol that looks like the classic attack from Ascension. You can add up your attack together to do damage. Now in this version of the game, you're actually going to call those command points. You're going to play just like normal, but you're going to look at the number of command points you generate, just like you would look at the number of buying points you generate. And of course, that's all basically from Ascension, because you're going to start with a hand of cards, basically militias and apprentices, just like you're familiar with, and they do the same basic thing. They either give you buy power to purchase cards from the row, or they give you combat power, and combat power in this game is the command. Now, what's really cool about this game is that the constructs that you know and love from the basic Ascension are still here. When you play a construct from your hand, it's actually going to slot onto one of your heroes, and it's going to increase their statistics. So you can get some extra combat strength or maybe some extra defense. In addition, they might have some special abilities that trigger when they're played or when you do something special on the battlefield. For example, the Morbid Hammer lets you banish a card whenever you slay an enemy. Now, of course, you're going to be fighting each other in this game, so you're going to be wanting to focus on both increasing your engine for buying those command cards and also to actually command your soldiers out on the battlefield, because you're going to want to use those command points to move around and fight each other. So of course there are a lot of different cards in this game that are featured with the same factions that you know and love from the basic game. So you have all of that represented here, a lot of the same cool cards. However, the effects of everything are a little different because you're going to be able to give status effects onto your champions. You're still going to have hero cards mixed in, just like normal. However, those hero cards don't actually come on the battlefield. They're kind of like assist cards. Like they pop in, they do something, and then they go to your discard pile. So the thing that I really like about this game is that there are no dice. That's something that really excites me as somebody that doesn't like dice. You'll know that Ascension, the base game, doesn't have dice either. So you're going to be able to do combat in basically the same way. You're going to want to build the best deck you can. And the heroes and champions and cards that you can draft and build into your deck are going to kind of function the same way. So you have void champions and void cards that kind of mill out your deck. And you have lifebound cards that kind of heal you and give you other status effects and things like that. Now, each scenario specifically is going to tell you how to score victory points. In addition, there's going to be treasures that can be added out to the board that are going to give you some bonuses if you manage to find them. And you're going to be able to control crystals as well, which these look like the victory point crystals in the base game, and they work very similarly. But again, the way you earn those is going to be different for each scenario. They can be anything from controlling these objects in the map to fighting enemy heroes and knocking them out. So there's a lot of flexibility in the way you can play because you can choose a scenario that fits your gaming group. And while I said this game is kind of built for 1v1 skirmish, there are also those cooperative modes. So I'm pretty excited. I know people out there are looking forward to a cooperative experience. Everything you see kind of here in front of me is a first look at what this game is going to come with. There's going to be more that is contained within the final product, but again, for fans of Ascension, you're going to see a lot of your favorite cards, tactics, and ideas represented here in this board. A lot like Clank took the deck building game and added that board for you to move around, you're going to get a lot of the same feeling of Ascension. It basically gives you another dimension to interact with, and the ability to play these constructs to level up your heroes is really cool. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this first look. If you have any questions or comments, please ask them in the chat below. I'll be able to come in there and answer them as best as possible. And as always, thank you guys for liking, subscribing, and following everything we do here at MVM, and I will see you next time.